Hello, everybody. It is Al Ernst and Pastor Jeff Gross. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing good.
And welcome to our first Uniquely Lutheran doing Wednesday on Tuesday. And it is Mardi Gras Tuesday, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I think we're at a good, safe social distance, so I can pull this mask off. But Pastor Jeff, tell us a little bit of the tradition of why the church did anything on Wednesday nights, the Lenten season. I mean, is there a biblical, was this a line up from the Bible, or was this the church taking a lot of kind of individual events through Jesus's life and kind of trying to give some order to it?
I think taking individual events of Jesus' lives and putting it into the narrative, preparing for the Passion, is probably the best way to do it. I think it's important to know sometimes it doesn't happen chronologically. For instance, Lent is really a simulation of Jesus' 40 days in the desert before he prepared for his ministry.
Okay, so that's which is different in relation to the transfiguration and the baptism.
Exactly.
That's along. I mean, in real year terms, that it didn't necessarily happen.
No, and that's fortunately or unfortunately, that's really how the church year goes. It really doesn't follow a chronological beginning, middle, and end pattern. Sometimes it jumps around a little bit. And Lent kind of jumps to that moment when Jesus prepared himself spiritually, and then we fast forward to the week of the Passion. So Lent really was the fast. It was the fast, and then today we're celebrating the opposite of the fast.
Okay, the celebration of the fast. Now, obviously, you see some Mardi Gras red, green, and gold paraphernalia on the tables, and a lot of you that know me know that we lived in Baton Rouge, Louisiana for 4 years throughout my career, and it's basically where I started my stand-up comedy career, and I had no real idea of what Mardi Gras was. And in the tradition of Louisiana, southern Alabama, this kind of heavily Roman Catholic area, of course, they are, steadfastly into celebrations and parades and everything like that. And basically what this was to be the craziest, most, debaucherous time up until midnight tonight, which is the official of the starting Ash Wednesday, which became the Lenten time, which then until Easter, everything was supposed to, you give things up, you close down, times of reflection, everything like that. And I know you're seeing a lot of stuff on here, and you've seen the parades for years from newsreels and things like that. And of course, unfortunately, you saw what, they kind of conclude to be the beginning of the COVID outbreak in the parades last year, which was, very unfortunate, but very true, because New Orleans, I can tell you, I've been there during what they call season. Their season, it is jam-packed with people. It is surrounded around three things. Number one, the people who run the Mardi Gras season are called crews, and they are basically what I would call social society gatherings. Some of them are people that do other like service events and things like that, but they're called crews. And you have the crew of Rex, which was the original crew. I can name Endymion, Wow Caesar. I can name now what would be like 20 crews. Those crews would have two major events during their Mardi Gras season, and one is their cotillion, or what you would consider to be their Mardi Gras ball, and that doesn't get a whole lot of press, but it is a giant. I mean, the most opulent. Everyone dresses in the period clothing, which would be the huge the huge dresses for the ladies with the skirts, and the men are in all kinds of, more French European style tuxedos. If you get a chance, I only got to see one as a performer, but I can tell you it's unbelievable. Then the final phase of it is the one that gets the most publicity, and that is the actual Mardi Gras parade itself. Each crew has a parade, and basically over there they call it a roll. And the parade gets a theme, and the crew is split up into groups. The groups get the floats built, all those great Mardi Gras floats that you see, and they're designed that you stand around, that those members of that crew stand around, and they throw some of these things. These are Mardi Gras beads. Now, these are good beads. I can tell you, they're not throwing a lot of those, but I'm able to keep. And I mean, I literally have boxes and boxes of beads at home and everything like that. And you've got different. I mean, I've got ones with little pirate ducks on them, and of course, my favorite is the jester, because that's what I do. And these crews just throw. I mean, they go down the road and people fight. And you always say, like I would tell, the person next to me, I'm not gonna. Why am I gonna beat somebody up over some plastic beads? And by 10 minutes into it, you're like, let me have them. Let me have them. I gotta have them. And you're into this revelry. There's a crew that was the traditionally African American crew of New Orleans called the Crew of Zulu. And no, it is not politically incorrect. You can ask them. Their famous thing that they threw out to the crowds was coconuts. They had decorative coconuts. Now, I have a feeling that some of them were throwing them a little harder at people than others, but to get a Zulu coconut was like an actual treasure trove. So what I did dig out of my old Mardi Gras stuff, and by the way, the colors are purple, gold, and green. Each one of them symbolizing the gold symbolizes power, the purple symbolizes service, and the green symbolizes resiliency or longevity. Because if you know the Cajuns and the Creoles, they seem to last forever. But one Mardi Gras season, they actually had a theme of a Viking theme, and my crew of Caesar that I have some relatives in did a Viking theme, and knowing that we have welcomed Pastor Jeff from the Dakotas, and he has a Viking past to him, I wanted to present you with a crew, your own Viking Mardi Gras. I know it's a small, but there he is, and that is yours to keep. Happy Mardi Gras.
Thank you very much. It is a happy Mardi Gras. And what I want to also, it's interesting now. So you had all these different crews, you had cotillions, kind of maritime almost. Yep. It has sort of a maritime flavor to it. New Orleans being on the Gulf of Mexico and the Mississippi Delta, and there's a lot of heritage and there's a lot of history. And it's all very much centered around beginning the fast of Lent. And I think it just goes without logic. If somebody tells you you can't eat donuts for 40 days, guess what you're going to do the day before those 40 days begin? You're going to eat donuts. And this is a very specific one from Poland called a punch. Yeah. Pennsylvania Dutch, Germans, and Lutherans from Pennsylvania have one called Fasten, which means the night of the fast. They take all the fat that's in their house, put it in a great big vat, and then make donuts and eat donuts. Really? It's part of the tradition of engage in something fun before you sacrifice it for a little while. That's really what it is. But as we hope to convey to you is Lent is a sacrifice, but it's not gloomy or doomy. It's an opportunity for growth and enrichment. But before it begins, donuts, and can you explain just a little bit?
There's a tradition also also in the Mardi Gras tradition of the king's cake. And the king's cake is, some of you may be familiar with it. If you've been to New Orleans, you've eaten beignets, and that's one of the famous things. This is made out of beignet dough, and you can't see it all the way through, but it is a circular cake. And in that circular cake, there is a small plastic baby, which symbolizes the baby Jesus. And within that, it is just a way to slice the cake, and the person that gets the baby Jesus ends up then having to bring the cake for the next week. You see, the Mardi Gras season actually started back in January, although it's only if you live in Louisiana or in one of the areas that really celebrates it big time would you realize that, and it kind of it crescendos with this day. But so we will have to maybe slice up a piece of king cake here and see. But you're right. We're talking about Lent because one of the crazy things is that we're going to celebrate in Lent, and that's one of the reasons why we actually wanted to start today. And also, you can see I put up one of the those are the kind of things that you put on the front door. And by the way, folks, go online right now. The people of New Orleans will not be let down because they couldn't have parades. They decided that instead of Mardi Gras, they call it Yardy Gras. And people have decorated their yards in ways that would make Christmas look tame. And it's all over right now. If you go on the internet, you can see it. But Yardy Gras has started, and hopefully next year they'll be able to go back and parade. But I love this, one of my favorite traditions. You see the shirt I'm wearing, and this is the New Orleans Baby Cakes. Well, actually, the New Orleans Baby Cakes is the minor league baseball team in New Orleans. So I always love it because it's the baby, it's the rough and tumble baby you'd find in there. But we'll show that a little bit more. The New Orleans Baby Cakes. And that's where it is. It's a constant celebration. It's a feeling, and it's something that I think we can carry out into a whole lot of other places other than just the borders of Louisiana. So with all of that said, the revelry continues. Unfortunately, no parades through tonight, but the revelry continues, and then tomorrow begins the day up. See, they've already shut us down. Apparently, they've shut our lighting down, but we'll figure that one out. It may have gotten a little too hot. Maybe it's over with now. I don't know. Anyway, we'll roll with it. We'll figure it out. So, Pastor Jeff, what I would want you to do is kind of explain that we're going to be on every Tuesday at noon for the next 6 weeks up until Holy Week, and kind of talk about what this is about and what we're going to be doing.
Thank you, Al. One of the best kept secrets in the Lutheran Church is Martin Luther's Small Catechism. It's something you study if you go through confirmation class, but it also gives us an opportunity to really get a basic understanding of the Christian faith and the basic teachings of the Christian faith. And I like to focus a lot of times during Lent, we abstain from doing something that we, just what I call another thou shalt not commandment, when we have 7 of the 10 commandments, or 8 of the 10 commandments telling us what not to do. Martin Luther, in his explanation to each one of the commandments, gave us something to do and gives us something to focus on. And I guess in that way, that's something that's distinctly Lutheran about how we're approaching Lent. But it also gives us an opportunity for us to focus on things that we can do to make us better Christians and to bring us a little closer to God. So for instance, week 1, I look at the first 3 commandments and talk about our relationship with God and say, how can we get get closer to God? How can we honor God? If you take it upon yourself to read the Bible, or take it upon yourself to spend some time in prayer, take it upon yourself just to do something that would bring you a little closer to God, maybe even take a walk in a time for meditation, reflection. I also want to look at the commandments do they apply to us? Honor your father and mother. And I say, yeah, if you are not a mom or a dad, or you don't have a mom or a dad, I think you can still honor people who are good role models by being a good role model, by living out the legacy of those who have gone before you. There are lots of different ways we can approach the commandments in a positive manner that are fun, but also bring us a lot closer to God. So that's just kind of a synopsis of some of the ways which we approach this time.
All right, so we're going to take this time with all of us together, and we're going to say, you know what? Yes, Lent is a time to focus and reflect on what we are all about. But in addition to that, instead of, the people of the time always, I'm giving this up and we're going to celebrate it. We are going to make our Mardi Gras last through our Lenten season, in that we're going to do more service and more introspection than we've done in our lives in this next 6 weeks. As I know, I get inspired by Pastor Jeff's explanations and challenges to me. But in addition to that, instead of it being all sad and blue and lonely, we are going to make it a celebration. So we're going to keep the celebration of Mardi Gras going. However, we are going to use it in a way that allows us to grow as Christians. And I think that's the number one thing that makes our walk with God and our walk with Christ as a Christian the biggest factor. And that is, how do we grow? If you look at a plant is either growing or it's dying. It doesn't get stable. There is no stable plant. It grows or it dies. What we want to do is try to challenge some of those stabilities that maybe you're into by helping you grow through being uniquely Lutheran. Yes, and I'm proud to say it's Lutheran. We are Lutheran. Not that that's anything bad to our other brothers and sisters of the Christian religion or all religions, but we are ULs. We are uniquely Lutheran. So enjoy that part of it. Enjoy that from our perspective. We're going to have a few laughs. And Jeff, it's going to be a pleasure to be with you over the next few weeks.
Thank you very much. This is an experience. I get to live out my fantasy of being on TV. Hello, everybody.
Well, we are live. We are live on YouTube. We are live on Facebook Live. And obviously people will be able to play this later on. You get to see us warts and all with our little made up table and getting stuff going, but you never know what we're going to improve on every week. And we also want to thank Amy Webb, our administrative assistant, who's just done a great job. And she's also our camera person, our computer person, and we obviously wouldn't make it other than that. So until next Tuesday, of which we're doing Tuesday doing Wednesdays. Why? Because we have our group that meets at Perkins, and we want Pastor Jeff to be there at lunchtime with him. And there was no law that said you had to do Wednesday nights. I mean, there's that. We got no law there. So we are doing Wednesdays on Tuesdays. It's called Uniquely Lutheran. I'm Al Ernst. Have a great week, everybody. And happy Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras.